how to prepare when you're, getting ready for the food of your wedding, and you're starting to prepare for, your tastings and your menu and all the deliciousness that is going to be on your wedding day. So when should you start preparing your, to think about what you're going to have on your menu and doing tastings and all those different things?
Yeah. So you'll probably get like initial quotes. You might have some initial ideas of what you're thinking. So initial menus that you'll look at. But after you like lock in your caterer, sometimes around 7 to 9 months before wedding day, that's when you can start to actually think about having your tasting. Depending on what type of food you're having will kind of dictate when you need to have that tasting. But once you've booked them, you might as well just go ahead and get it on the books, because you're going to get to taste delicious food. So
yeah,
why wait?
So let me ask a controversial question.
Great.
This is a good way to start. Why wouldn't you have risotto cakes? No, I'm just kidding. Why, when you're booking your caterer,
Yeah.
do you taste the food before you book them? Or is it all based on, here's a sample menu, having a conversation with chef or owner, and you talk about different things that they could do? And I ask this because a lot of chefs and a lot of catering companies would tell you they can pretty much do anything.
True.
Pretty much all of it. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like,
How does it even start?
how did you even
How
start?
do you even get to the tasting?
I could pitch somebody on a delicious risotto cake, but please believe me, you do not want me to make you a risotto cake. It will not be delicious. Mm-mm. No.
Okay. So first and foremost, to answer your question, a lot of people choose to book their caterer before having a tasting, but probably equally as many choose to book it after they have a tasting. So generally how it works is you'll pay a tasting fee if you're not under contract. So let's say you wanted to go with, X caterer, maybe they charge $50 a person to $25 a person, something like that, to cover
fair.
the time and the food and the prep.
It's a lot of work, stuff. And they're not guaranteed
and they're not
anything.
guaranteed any money. So then
they're not making any money on that. But.
No. So then, depending on how many people you have come, you pay that fee. And then afterwards, most catering companies will take that fee. Let's say you paid $100. They will take that fee and apply it towards your balance.
Oh, that's great.
If you book with them.
Smart.
So you're still getting your complimentary tasting, because most caterers, once you book with them, offer a complimentary tasting. So you're still getting that. You're just kind of paying some of the money up front to make sure you get what you like.
Would you ever do a tasting before you book to decide which caterer you wanted to book with, and then subsequently, as you got closer to the date, do a follow-up tasting, based on what's in season or whatever that is? Do people ever do two?
Yes, you could. Some caterers might charge for that second tasting.
Yeah,
they might only include one complimentary one. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I've also had couples who maybe do their big tasting, taste, and I know we're going to talk about what you taste, but they taste everything. And then maybe there was like one thing that they weren't totally sold on. So like maybe we have to come back for like a little mini tasting where maybe we taste some different sauces or, change out the side dishes or something like that. So it's always possible to kind of tweak. And I think it is true that most caterers can do most anything. They probably have things they're better at than others, and things that they do every weekend.
Right. Of course. So would you say that you're saying that half of couples do a tasting before they book?
Maybe less.
A little less? Now you're thinking about it?
Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe like 25 to 30%, maybe like a fourth do a tasting. A lot of people book before they ever taste.
Yeah.
Now a lot of venues have, exclusive caterers or small catering list. My couples have a planner, obviously. So they can rely on my expertise because I've tasted a lot of the food.
Right.
So I think that goes in, I think that my numbers might be slightly skewed because of that, because they're relying more on a professional as opposed to just being like, I don't know, this chicken sounds good.
Yeah. See, if I was a caterer, I would have my best dish. I wouldn't make a lot of it, but I would have my best dish out for every single pitch that I went into. You come in, like from something classic, their mashed potato bar is out of control here in Charlotte. And I would literally have like a mini version of that set out. It wouldn't cost you much, but it would make, your couples feel like, hey, you're getting to try something, and you're probably going to win them, because unless they don't like mashed potatoes, I guess that would be the risk. But anyways, just random musings.
But there's a lot of work that goes into that. I think that'd be really hard, actually. I think it'd be harder than you think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Huh. What do I know?
You're not a caterer.
No, I'm not a caterer. Exactly. Don't claim to be. Anyways, kind of back on track though. Like, so as you're preparing, what should I know as I'm getting ready to prepare for booking my catering, tastings, and all those different things?
So like I mentioned, you kind of need to know what style of food service you're having. So are you having a buffet? Are you having a plated dinner? Are you having stations? That's going to dictate a lot of what you taste. It's also going to dictate a lot of your choices. What can be served as, a station may not be able to be served as a plated dinner, and vice versa.
Right.
So it's going to dictate your choice in some ways. It also dictates when you need to have your catering tasting, because if you're going to have a plated dinner, you need your entree selection before you order your invitations, which is typically 6 months before wedding day. So, that tasting has to happen a lot sooner. You should also have a general idea of your guest count. Of course, this all goes back to that, and your budget. You want to make sure you share your budget with your caterer so they can make sure to help you come up with options that work in your budget based on your guest count. And this is definitely a place where I would say, if you're debating between 150 and 175 people, to err on the side of 175, so you see what that top dollar is, as opposed to doing 150 and then getting closer to wedding day and realizing you now have to pay for an extra 25 people.
Well, that's the thing I remember the most, is sitting down and kind of looking at the menu, and it's like, okay, you can get these items at this price point per person, and then for only an extra $5 or $10, something like, you can upgrade to this. And then I remember the bar was the same way, right? Yep. You're kind of like weighing that, and then you're like, well, it's only $5, $10, but then times 125 to 175 people, that adds up.
It adds up, yeah. That's plus service charge and tax, and extra,
it's not just $10
equipment and things like that. Yeah.